Okay, Malc.
Well,
62 beats 47.
yep.
Episode 31.
31 it is.
31. It's been 3 weeks since we met, but quite frankly,
Yeah.
nothing's changed, Malc.
Yeah.
The shirt. What's the story?
Yeah, well, there's two
Sad
things,
stories, or is it?
there's two things going on there.
Okay.
Firstly, Johnny, who's like the
Little-
1-year-old in this house.
Little Johnny. He's a lovely boy.
He vomited.
Hey, vomited on the shirt.
I had to use a shirt to clean it up.
Oh, okay, yeah. There was nothing else you could have used
No.
in the entire house other than
It was
62 beats 47.
It was the only thing I could find, like
Okay.
in the
Okay.
quick time frame. The other thing is, it's a shameless plug, really, for my buddy Jacob's company, which you might notice is a running company called Peak Run Performance.
Okay.
I'll leave it there. Just check it out.
Yeah, but I don't care. Like, I really don't care. Like has nothing to do. So, okay, let's get back to my shirt.
Okay, so back to your
So
shirt.
it was okay. You cleaned up with vomit on, and then what? I mean, there is like washing machines. Is there an issue here, or what am I missing here?
Sometimes it goes to the bottom of the pile.
Oh, and then it
And
sits
then,
for a while.
yeah, what happens is like we clean out the washing,
Yeah.
but sometimes the things at the bottom, they never
Don't
quite get
quite. Yeah.
into
You know
the
what?
machine.
Okay. So okay, I'll accept all that. Whatever. And I'll accept the shameless promotion for Peak Run Performance. However, next week
Uh-huh.
there is no excuse.
No, we'll be professional. next
Have
week.
the vomit shirt come to the top of the pile
Right.
and into the washing machine. Okay?
Johnny, don't vomit again.
Johnny, okay, good. So yeah, 3 weeks, and of course during that time, I have been in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
That was a big trip.
Globetrotting.
Globetrotting and marathon running. So last Friday was the 4th marathon of Afghanistan.
Yeah, wow.
It was a different route this year. Rather than a road run, it was, I would call it a trail run, around the trails of Band Emir National Park, the only national park in Afghanistan, and quite a tough course. The elevation of the start was 10,000 feet, and it rose to 11,000 feet, 3,370 meters.
Yeah.
So at that height, oxygen level drops from 21% to 13.7. So it was a challenge. It was a challenge from that point of view.
Yeah.
Also, the elevation gain loss
Yeah.
was 3,700 feet, which is pretty decent. You know, that's a lot of hills.
Yeah.
Over 1,100 meters elevation gain loss. So all in all, it was a tough event. But I took a different role this year. As I may have mentioned before, Free to Run is an organization that supports women and girls in conflict countries through sport. And in 2015, the very first Afghan woman ran the Marathon of Afghanistan in 2015.
Yeah.
The year I went, 2016, there were 6 Afghan women. Last year, there were 12.
Okay.
This year, there was 22. So big step up. And a lot of them were first timers. So I decided, what can I do? You know, how can I help? So I've made myself the first ever pace bunny.
Right.
Yeah. Pace bunny for the event. 8-hour cutoff.
Right.
So I made myself the 7-hour pace bunny.
Okay.
7-hour pace bunny. I thought, you know, that's maybe, we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Anyway, so I had a group of 7 Afghan girls and women who came with me as the pace bunny.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of twists and turns. We got sent the wrong way at one point. Somebody had moved the arrow, you know. Yeah, I know, really
trips.
frustrating. Anyway, so basically, because of the misdirection, I put a formal request in to increase the cutoff time to 9 hours.
Right.
Well, I think that's only fair, Malc. I mean, that was not absolutely. So anyway, I got the official approval from the race director, James Bingham. So I went to 9 hours.
Cool.
And the group, in the end, 5 of the girls crossed the line, but the last 2, Sonia, who was 14,
Wow.
and Anita, who was 16.
Not often you see a 14-year-old
we
running a trail marathon.
and we can talk about that. But anyway, I stuck with them, and we came in 8 hours and 46 minutes. 14 minutes to spare. Which is my usual
I was going to say, did you
modus
just plan
operandum. Well, no, I mean it was tough, and I got to give credit to these girls. You know, behind us was the sweep vehicle. We were last, and there was an ambulance, and And so I would say, when they were kind of toddling along, kind of not really moving, I'd say, okay, in the ambulance, no, and they start running. Eh? So, yeah, it was a tough one, and yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and
I like your style of coaching, by the way.
Well, you know what, and it's tricky. In the perfect world, you would not have, in my mind, 14 and 16-year-old girls doing a marathon, and my granddaughter's 14, Autumn. And she's running 5K. She's going to build to 10. Over time she'll build to a half, and then maybe to a marathon if she wants to do it. Maybe 18 or 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's North America, Europe. I think that's sort of a common approach.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Afghanistan is not the perfect world.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
These women and girls, they're running for way more than what we run for. It's really for gender equality. They get physical and verbal abuse when they're on the streets, when they're trying to run. So running is a major challenge to them. And the other challenge is finding races. I mean, there just aren't the races. And so these girls had already done a 10K. There really isn't the opportunity to do a nice build of a half and so on. And so they take whatever they can get.
Sure.
And so, if we had done the race and they had said, we're done at, a half marathon, fine. But they persevered.
Wow.
Morgan, I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's just, the nature of what it is. They were desperate to participate in the marathon.
Sure.
And my gosh, the resilience and the determination and persistence is unbelievable. So all in all, it was a good race from a 62 beats 47 point of view. A couple of pluses as far as I'm concerned. Calf, no problem.
Right.
No problem.
Yeah. Because I was half expecting you to just
hobble in here,
just look
crying, boo-hoo, none.
Yeah.
None of that. Calf is good. Feel loose, feel strong. Also, I think a plus that we really didn't talk about is altitude training.
Uh-oh.
Altitude training.
Where are we going with this?
Well, I don't know really, but I mean, I was running at 11,000 feet.
Yes.
That's what all the top elites do, right? They all head off to Mexico and Kenya, and I mean, I'm just saying.
Wow.
Probably is going to be a benefit. The red blood vessels are. I'm probably ready now. What do you think? No, as an expert, maybe I'm taking it a smidgen.
I'll keep it real short and succinct. So when you go to this is a really interesting talking point, because for the people, a lot of people won't know this, but next Olympics is in Tokyo, right?
Okay.
2020.
2020 is Tokyo.
Tokyo is currently building a altitude training center for the athletes when they get to the Olympics. It's a big kind of talking point this week. It's costing them millions and millions.
They should just go to Afghanistan.
Yeah, I know. I mean, why not?
I mean, why not?
When you're in,
I don't understand
Tokyo,
Anyway, go ahead.
And interesting point, because if you create an altitude chamber or an altitude facility like that, you drop. Okay, in their case, they can't drop the partial pressure of oxygen. So what they do is they just scrub oxygen out of the air. Yeah. Whereas what's happening with you? Yeah. When you go to altitude, it's still 21% oxygen. Ah. But what's happening is air pressure's dropped. So the partial pressure of oxygen, that's what we call it, has dropped. So the drive of oxygen into the lungs and into the bloodstream is far less. So the bloodstream can absorb less oxygen because what we call the partial pressure to oxygen has dropped. Okay. But when we go to simulated altitude, which is what they're going to do in Tokyo, you can't drop the pressure unless you've got you'd have to have some incredible hyperbaric building or something. So what they do is they basically, the air that gets pumped in gets oxygen scrubbed out of it. Okay, to a certain level. Right? Yeah. It passes through a filter that scrubs oxygen out. And so then we drop from 21% to whatever it is, maybe 15, 14, 13%. 13, and that is the equivalent. It's what we call normobaric hypoxia. Oh, wow. It's basically creating the equivalent of altitude. Okay. Because what goes into the bloodstream is limited oxygen. But when you were in Afghanistan, at 11,000 feet, it was limited oxygen going through the bloodstream because there's such a drop in air pressure and partial pressure that there isn't the drive. Because the way things work in the body, it's either all systems in the body work through a concentration gradient or a pressure gradient. So with air and oxygen, it's pressure gradients, right? So less pressure you've got going in, the less of a drive there is to move the oxygen across into the bloodstream. Okay. In the lungs. So that's basically what happened to you. So what happens when you get exposed and you do an altitude workout, you don't live at altitude, you just go for a workout, is that you basically stress the body, obviously.
Okay.
And the adaptation is what we call a cardiopulmonary, like breathing mechanics adaptation.
Okay.
So when you were there at 3,000 plus meters, what's happening is you're stressing the body, you're trying to run the marathon, and you will actually, if you expose for long enough, your breathing mechanics become more efficient.
Okay.
Because if you imagine now, you've got less partial pressure of oxygen going into the lungs, so your breathing has to become better to try and expand, contract, move the diaphragm, and basically force oxygen into the bloodstream.
I mean, I felt it.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, where I really felt it, I mean, obviously I felt the marathon, but we were staying in this hotel, which I was on the 4th floor. Oh
Right.
my God, climbing those stairs.
Oh, climbing, yeah.
Like I'm just...
No elevator.
Well, it was broken half the time.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, so no, that's okay. So that's what's happening with the... fascinating.
Yeah, so that's the thing, like, because what I was curious about with this Tokyo concept, and they're spending millions of dollars, is that the athletes will go into that building, which is like a training center, and they'll experience simulated altitude.
Yeah.
But when they go back to their accommodation block or anywhere else, they're at sea level because they're at Tokyo.
Right.
So what they're going to get is they're going to get altitude training, but not altitude living.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now we know from
Yeah.
tons of
that's right.
from all of the work that's been done on altitude, and I spent my life studying it as someone that's been to 8,000 meters myself and other altitudes. Basically, the dominant result in the study is your benefit comes from living at altitude, but training lower.
Oh.
So you can train at higher intensity, but the living is what gives you the body adaptation long term. And I was just curious because in Tokyo they're doing the opposite basically.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's known from what we do know today. That is a lower benefit.
Okay.
But what it benefits when you train at altitude is
like I did in Afghanistan.
It's breathing mechanics. So you improve your breathing efficiency to drive oxygen in. Red blood cells, no, because what happens is there's a whole feedback mechanism that's received. The brain's involved in it. There's secretion of something called EPO. Then there's stimulation of red blood cells from the bone marrow, go into the bloodstream, all this kind of stuff. It takes time. And if you're not exposed to altitude for at least 3 weeks, generally, probably 4 or more, then you don't get adaptation yet.
It's all very interesting.
I know.
Fascinating. But the bottom line is, I feel good.
Yeah, and you can feel good.
I feel good. I feel strong. I feel like I've got more red blood cells. I don't know if I have. Don't burst that. Don't burst that bubble. So yeah. So anyway, felt strong on the treadmill this morning. So really, we're now into the final stretch.
We are
for 42 beats, 62 beats 47, and we're down to the last, I would say, month and a half. Yeah. Two races to go. Yeah. The last chance half in Calgary.
Yep.
On November I'm thinking 8th, could be wrong, maybe November 10th, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the California International Marathon Sacramento, December 2nd, the biggie. Okay, so Malc, I'm ready. This is it now. I think I need your magic for the last month and a half. But I'm very keen.
Yeah, and that's good to see. Like at this point, that you come back energized, body's okay,
feeling good.
So you've got a shot, and it's just kind of like foot to the floor and just see what you can do in a month and a half.
Sounds good. So let's line up a good training schedule now for the next little bit.
Yeah, I mean the focus really now a month and a half. We kind of like throw you into the half marathon. We just like use it as a way of testing race stuff, but the marathon is the focus.
Okay.
And for the marathon, it really is all about long run endurance. Okay. So the focus is really
start doing some longer stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Good, mate. Good. Well, okay. Yep. Good to be back.
Cool.
And let's get going.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Cheers.